Hi, everybody. Welcome back.
Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
Marcia. How are you today?
Good, and you?
Grateful.
Good.
Really grateful we're continuing our dialogues and grateful that we picked Ignite as our topic for April.
hmm It's been really cool, though, to discuss what Ignite means to us and what other people think of Ignite as. So it's really awesome. I love that.
It is. It was really great hearing Jackie and
Oh, yeah.
Lapel's voices. And I'm really looking forward to hearing Jonathan Howard and Christopher Knight's voices
Oh, yeah.
on our next episode, which will be Ignite to Lead.
Woohoo! Yes.
So one of the reasons you came up with impact was, what were you thinking about with impact?
So, what I was thinking about with impact, so we talked about what excites us and what gets our fires going, and I think why I wanted impact to be like discussed is that what is it, it's almost like not enough to for us to be excited. It's like we need to share that with the world, and how would we impact our world? So like those burning embers, or those that fire that you have, there's a reason that you have it. So what is the reason? What's the reason? The reason is to actually just use it to help other people. It's not just for us, to get excited and everything. It's for it to share with others. What about you?
I've been thinking about this a lot. I think,
Mhm.
especially as we're spending more time in virtual meetings, on
Mhm.
phone, communicating. I think I'm getting more conscious of something Susan Young said,
Mhm.
which is that if we change our words, we change our world by changing one letter.
Mm.
By taking the S off of words and adding the L to the word word, we're kind of changing our world.
Mhm.
Um, I think also before, sometimes I don't think people thought as we went around our daily lives about what was happening to somebody next door or in the next block or around the corner,
Mhm.
or thinking about what happens to people so many miles away. It kind of reminds me almost of like a snowball. And I think I love that when you pick the graphic, it had water in it. It had rocks. It had stability.
Yeah.
It had movement. It had some peace. And I think that's what impact means to me.
Mhm.
We're not sure whether somebody needs to receive something in a gentle manner,
Mhm.
whether they need to hear it directly, whether it needs to be really sharp with clarity, whether we say something and it's going to shake up or break somebody's day, week, world, month, or year.
Mhm.
So I think before we kept talking about impact, ignite is something almost like a flame or like embers and inspiration. But I really think of it as we think of our world, that we really need to think about the impact and how who we choose to collaborate with,
Oh, yeah.
whether we choose to collaborate with them, how,
Mhm.
maybe redefining that in a really careful way. I think a great example is us continuing on Ignite for the better part of a month, as we're each looking for fuel to continue. And I think one of the things that's really challenging about it is we really aren't sure how something lands. I think I saw some posts on social media earlier, and I changed the group rules in our group this week. And I added the word no politics, because sometimes when people are trying to add impact, they think it's about adding spice and seasoning.
Mm.
And you don't know whether somebody's got room or the appetite for the seasoning or the spice. So I think the impact part of it will be, as we collaborate, making sure others are ready, making sure we're ready.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, how can we help take steps to get ready?
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. So, the tagline from Marcia McCray Omnimedia is challenge the norm and do business as unusual, right? So my thing is with ignite to impact. Impact is like actually two objects coming into force, like hitting each other. Okay. And so my ignite to impact is using what I love to do which is business. I love business. I love branding, especially helping people to discover more of who they are and helping people to learn to do other things, other ways, to do things their way and not not trying to rely upon somebody else or outside forces is telling them what to do in their businesses. So it's like helping others to do things their way and to trust themselves, and I think like as I mentioned I think it was like our first episode, selfish structure, we were talking about how people they were so fixated. A lot of people are so fixated in listening to things that we've been taught when we were children. And that includes me too. We were children or growing up, or, you need to be this and this, you need to be a doctor, you need to be a lawyer, you need to be a CEO, you need to do this, even though they're miserable, doing what they're doing because that's really not who they are, so it's like trying to relearn things and trying to get better at understanding more about ourselves. And so I think that's where my sense of impact would help other people. And so that's why I'm so fixated about that, about learning more about yourself, discovering, going deeper depths. I'm not saying, I think all of us need to go deeper depths of each of ourselves, because what happens is we take in what we need from like the gurus and everything. Not that because believe me, I'm not saying you shouldn't go and trust, other teachers or coaches and things like that, because gosh, I've had my share of coaches and teaching, but the thing is, understanding yourself and knowing exactly what you stand for and your values is what's going to help you to take in what you need to process, what the gurus or whoever the teachers are saying, the coaches, and get rid of anything that doesn't fit our values. And so that's that. And then having that impact, when we have that strength of that structure, selfish structure, you're able to actually go and hit the world with force, not like necessarily violently or, fighting, but it's more like just able to go and be who you are, who you're called to be, and to share your gifts with the world,
So Jonathan absolutely loves your tagline, and welcome back.
Thank you, Jonathan. Hey.
Jonathan. And Jonathan's got an interesting comment about that. So I'm going to put it up.
Okay.
Because Jonathan's comment about that is to trust your coaches, but have a brain of your own.
Thank you. Yes, Jonathan, a man after my own heart. I totally agree with you. That's the thing. So that's why I was saying it's so important to know what you stand for and who you are, because then you can just take in what, the things that you're being taught and say, oh, no, I don't agree with that. But, this person has some good points, but you know where to use them,
So I think as opposed to thinking about it just from brand perspective, is I think about impact as to kind of what resonates with you.
Yeah, that's it.
Almost
that's
like music, last week we heard the Country Music Awards. I fell in love with a new artist. The music really, I needed to hear it. I was looking for music that kind of had a good healing perspective. But I think for me, impact is gentle. It's like that water that kind of just is hitting the shore a little bit.
Mm.
And I think it's one of the things that I'm really reminded of recently as I've started meditating daily.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I do in the middle of the night, and it's something I do in the stillness. And to me, that's what's adding more impact.
Mm.
It's the moments of not moving.
Yeah,
Before
that's true.
taking action, almost like digestion.
That's good. That's really
Or
good.
deliberation. When I was younger, people might have said it was wishy-washy. I wanted to take things in, trust my gut, do a gut check, do an intuition check, see what really fit style-wise. So I really hear you when you're talking about it from a branding perspective of wanting to have a brand that packs a punch. Jonathan, I think, is having an upcoming series where he'll talk to us a little bit about the impact our brand has in our new world, as we're calling it, I guess. I think impact also can be intimate. It can be personal.
That is true.
It could be based on your pace or your goals or what you open a door also to kind of allow it in. So somewhere in there for me, I think the stillness and the peace of it has to, and maybe for some, they'd say that's faith-based. I know that in the quiet sometimes I'm able to allow things to settle and figure out maybe a direction to move or who to call for help or whether to take a pause, whether to revisit the plan. I think in the Coffees with Chris, which I'm in love with as a fire starter, finding great conversation, thoughtful, mindful. And it really does cause you to check in a little bit. But I hear you about the wanting it to be a brand that has punch. But I think my first brand, I wanted that to have punch. My second brand, I want people to figure out where the punch is for them.
That's I totally agree with you with that. So I think I'm operating from my personal perspective. So it's not that I'm saying that, you have to go out and punch everything or be real forcible with it. But I'm just, from my perspective, that's how I view, impact is actually just communicating who I am. And it's not, and let me tell you, because you can create impact even without a business or without a brand, like a business brand, so it can be, like you said, personal. And I don't know. I kind of think that from my personal perspective, because I'm telling you guys, I feel like I'm integrated with my business. I don't know why. And I'm like work, and it's fun for me. It's not like work to me. So it's like, that might be a little problem sometimes, but I just feel like that, you can just, like you said, you can do it in quietness, and you can create impact in quietness, because it can give you direction, basically, when you're quiet, it gives you direction to do what you're supposed to do. But I just think that for me personally, my thing is to help people to understand that, it's okay. Who they are is okay. And I'm talking from a personal standpoint, not just business or branding, but it's okay to, if you're not like one of those people that are like, go, like, or like have this strong impact thing, like this forcible personality or whatever, because everyone's different. My thing is based upon people understanding more about who they are, and that's personal and business. So it's not just, just branding aspects. It's just that, because like I said earlier, you can process things better and take in what you need or what you don't need. And then, you can just, it just works better for you in the long run from a personal standpoint or a business standpoint. So, I mean, yeah. So I don't know. That's how it's to me there. It's just like all integrated. I don't know why, but I'm just like, I integrate all of it is like integrated for me in my life, and to help people to understand more about themselves, it's just like, that's why I keep like fixating on that, because that's like the driving force. You guys, you are the driving force. We are the driving force. Our who we are is the driving force in the decisions or the mistakes or whatever, the successes, everything in your life. So, yeah.
So Jonathan's really feeling you today.
Jonathan.
So Jonathan says, I live in my business as well. I feel you.
Isn't it hard to separate sometimes from your business, Jonathan? It's just so hard to separate personal life and your business life. For me, it is. I don't know. Is it the same way for you?
I think we're going to give Jonathan a chance to check into that one.
Yeah.
The cool part is that you and Jonathan are going to have a chance to talk more about that when we reconnect on Ignite to Lead. I think the thing I keep going back to is the need to separate my business from my life, from what I need personally, and from what I feel family members or other people that I care about in the world need. So I think it's why I keep going back to that gears part. Maybe it's why I'm relating it back to water. Jonathan answered your question. He said, I don't ever.
Okay, I forgot my question. Because I'm trying to process. You're like so like, I'm listening to you, and I'm just looking at how all of us are so different, and it's so cool. That's how life should be for me. I feel like everybody should be their own person, and they shouldn't try to be like someone else, but it should be like, so John, you guys, what was my question? When he said, I don't ever, I'm being honest. I'm just being very honest.
Jonathan,
what did I say? Do you remember? Jonathan, what did I say?
Jonathan, we're going to have to remind Marcia of this during a watch party. What I really love is, Ignite is obviously her kindling. Okay. It went from sense of self is a structure to Ignite, and I think in there we found Marcia's kindling.
Here it is. Separate me from. Oh, okay, good. Okay, so I'm like you. Okay, he responded. He said, separate me from the business.
One of the great things was, and we discovered this during Ignite the Embers. Whatever it is, Marcia needs the answer now. I think, I am the teacher's kid. I need to raise my hand, and you can let me know when it's time to ask the question. Or I watched Unintentional Heroes with Christopher Knight and Eve Voyaveda. And Jonathan and I were both on that. I had so many questions. And I love it because before you could raise your hand, they answered them. They explored them. And I think that's the part about impact. People are in love now with the word pivot. I really like leanies, adjust and readjust. I think sometimes with things with impact, we're moving out of the way. We don't want to catch them. We're not ready to receive them. We don't want them to hit us. We don't want them to knock us over, whether it's realizations or yesterday I asked mom a question
Mm-hmm.
and today she called me with the answer. I'm grateful to have asked the question in a really still, quiet moment. And today she said, you asked me this yesterday, and here's the answer.
Mm.
I think that's too why I'm starting to slow down with the impact.
Mm.
It was a question I asked almost 24 hours ago.
Wow.
So I think for me, just the need with the impact is the need to create space.
I like that.
Whether it was the reminder to drink my coconut water that I hadn't had in 2 days,
Mm-hmm. Love that.
or to take a breath, or to dig out Cynthia's beautiful scarf
Mm.
on a day that doesn't really feel warm inside. I think also Jonathan said it really well. Innovate and adjust or refine.
Yep. That's it.
And here's a new one for you, Marcia.
Mm-hmm.
So
over Pisvat now. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Jonathan, what does that mean?
Well, I think it's instead of pivot. I think it's Jonathan's take on the word pivot.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I think
he says, I'm sorry.
Actually, Jonathan's reminded me he's over pivot also. I think that's one of the hard things, and I love it because you remind me of the branding perspective. The more we are in marketing, the longer we are. Sometimes there's buzzwords like you were talking about, great books for us to read. Or I was talking about music the last time, about Kirk Franklin, and it's time for me to put some more Kirk Franklin on. And I think sometimes the words, people get stuck on mindset words. Yeah. I loved that in a conversation Jonathan and I were having with others, we were talking about his word of 2020, which was facilitate. And I was talking about my word shifts. I think sometimes thought leaders are giving us a word, which becomes everybody's word. And I think from the sense of self, I think you need a word that feels like you.
Yep.
Last year, I changed my word 3 times. Okay. Maybe it was impact. Maybe it was not settling to the right word. This year, I picked a bigger word, shifts. I'm incorporating it in a program I'm doing in the fall to remind me to think of it. It's on the LinkedIn banner to remind me to think of it, to be really mindful. But I think what you're saying, I liked before about my impact maybe have to do with stillness. Yours has to do with movement.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Yes.
So you're reminding me in brands, there are a zillion, million moving pieces.
Absolutely.
So Absolutely. It's about aligning them. It's about combining them. It's about figuring out what works from your life and your business. I think the older I'm getting and celebrating milestone year, I think in whatever's happening now, I'm starting to really treasure the peace. But it's really causing me to do something that you said, which was live into the vision, which was peace matters for all to all. I never said it out loud. It was a statement. This year, I'm learning to talk about the need for peace, to talk about my desire for peace. And I guess it's like when I was younger, it's the way you think of balance. Or maybe the way that you would search for uh, clarity or the answers.
Mhm.
I know, and I love it in our dialogues. You are crystal clear, like blazing. Ignite really suits you. It's about what lights you up.
Mhm.
It's really simple. It's about whether it's faith or it's family or business or work or something you're doing just because you absolutely love to do it. But I think what I'd love to do as we're moving towards Night to Lead is to remember what you said, the inspiration that we have an opportunity, as Jonathan said, to innovate,
Oh yeah,
adjust,
I love that.
refine.
Hmm.
And somewhere in that, people would call it from a business rebranding. Others would say, like, take a decision and stick with it. A presentation we're working on for next week, somebody gave us a great tech tip. Set up something, try it for 60 days, tweak it within the 60 days, or live with it and make it work.
Mm.
You know, I thought about that. Once you commit to something, whether it's a business decision, a subscription, or
Hmm.
you signed up for a conference, or you're buying, I don't know, you're listening to a podcast in a series. That I think that commitment level, I think it sticks with it. But I think Jonathan's giving us another real big key there with the refining.
Yeah,
We don't always feel like innovating. We don't always feel like creating. We don't always feel like listening.
that's
We
true.
don't always feel like moving or adjusting. And some of us don't like tweaking stuff. It's a commitment to self, you would say, or it's a commitment in your business or for your staff or for your team. Um, I think I'm really excited, as you would say, by the fact that we're talking about Ignite, because I'm really enjoying talking about stuff that really lights you up and it's lighting others up too.
I love saying you, and like you're the balance to me, being like like crazy and wild, and you're like so like.
No, I think it's
Oh.
Cynthia's scarf. This is my favorite color.
Mm-hmm.
So turquoise reminds me of the ocean or the beach.
Mm.
It brings me a lot of peace.
Yeah.
In my next life, I will be a water aerobics instructor
Well, water aerobics.
in Puerto Vallarta at Hard Rock Puerto Vallarta Pool.
Mm.
I have the pool picked out to do it in. And when I'm not water aerobics instructing, I'll be a pool waitress. I love walking in the water. It brings me peace. So I think that's where I'd leave my impact today.
Mhm.
And maybe it's reminding me water soothes. I feel it cleanses, it restores. It's probably how I'm doing the refined part that Jonathan's talking about.
Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm.
Whether it's running water, whether in a conversation with Jen yesterday, whether it's a trickle, whether it's hot or cold, whether it's a spigot, whether it's a waterfall.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that, and I have to really remember that. It really helps me change my perspective.
Yeah, that's cool. So the thing where I want to leave with impact, ignite to impact, is there are over 7 billion people in the world, everybody. And all of us have our own brand print. We have our own unique way of doing things. And we don't have to be like everybody else to create an impact. We can, like, look at Melanie. She has her sense of impact is quiet, a quiet, like, I like what Tara Gentile says. She says the quiet power. That's your impact. You've got a quiet power.
Mm.
And I love that. That's what I think about you. And as far as like people like me, or, like I said, over 7 billion people in the world, there are so many different ways that you can create impact in the world. And I love hearing about what people think, what impact is to them. What ignition switches would you use to make a difference, make your mark on the world? It could be, it doesn't have to be like necessarily the world. It could be like your community. It can be your family. It could be nationwide. It could be worldwide. So it's not just, like this really huge thing. But I just, that's what I was wanted to say, that with over 7 billion people in this world, there are so many different ways. There's no right or wrong answer. Yes, you may switch up and down. You might go here, whatever. It's just the point of finding out who you are and discovering more of who you are and what you love to do. So that's what I want to say about, Ignite to Impact. There's just so many different ways that people, and I would love for people to put in the comments to let us know what ignites, what ignition switches will you use to help the world or your community or your family or your home, whatever, or your pet, seriously. So.
No, I really love that in terms of reminding us to make it a lighter, brighter, better world.
Yeah.
And, share something maybe that lights us up, and maybe we'll light somebody else up.
Mm-hmm.
But I really want to thank you for helping me really kind of hit the nail. And I really know now to explore it in water. So thanks for that. And I think it's also the option of what you choose to do,
Mm-hmm.
And whether we show up. I crack up what you're saying about quiet power, because power was always something I avoided. And a wonderful woman who I spoke with, who will be one of the speakers at Be Visible Shifts, really helped me have a conversation and an understanding of that. So thanks for more food for thought there. But I'd love to thank everybody for joining us.
Yes.
For Dialogues, Uncover and Define, Ignite to Impact.
Yes.
Join us for watch parties. Join us on Marcia's page, the Brand Naked Agency, for replays. You can eventually catch the whole series on Be Visible on YouTube. And we want to thank all of our amazing technical wizards for helping us.
Thank you, guys.
Get rid of some of the kinks out of our earlier episodes so that we're able to do that. And we'd love to encourage you to join us for our next episode, which is Dialogues, Uncover and Define, Ignite to Lead. Until then, peace.
Bye, everybody.
Stay well and stay safe. And thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
Have an amazing and profitable day.